tourism investment project, 215.7 acres of land. I don't know if you have read through the project document. Have you read the project document?
I haven't read.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Marine Drive.
It's just a question. Have you read the project document? I'm going to ask you a question. I need to know if you have read through the project document.
I've been briefed.
Pardon?
I've been briefed.
You have engaged?
Briefed.
Oh, you have been briefed, but you haven't read the project document. Okay. All right. I mean, it's a major project involving 217 acres of, I believe, the most valuable land in Accra today, apart from maybe airport residential area or cantonments. Now, you are going to that ministry, assuming this parliament approves you. What guarantee do we have? And do you promise this house that when you get there, you would account to us the mechanism by which you are going to allocate the lands to developers? Will you be fair? Will it be through transparent public auctions? Can we get that assurance? And will you report to Parliament how fair and transparent the process of allocating these lands for the development and engaging developers will be?
Thank you, Chairman. The process has begun, and I'm given a note by this committee, but I can assure the House that I'm going to look into it and make sure that the needful is done. We cannot wait any longer. So if I want to assure the House that I'll take the necessary step to ensure that we activate it and make sure that it goes very well according to the schedule.
The question is not a schedule for the implementation of the project. The question is specific. It is 215.7 acres of land, prime land, one of the best lands in the country. And you are supposed to engage developers to develop the whole place. You are likely to be divided into lots and given out. Question is, can you assure us, assuming you become the minister, that the process for selecting developers and allocating these lands will be transparent by public auction, and you report to this House how you allocate and determine people who will use this, who will develop these lands? That's the specific question I'm asking.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, due process will be followed. The right thing will be done. Thank you.
Last question is, I've looked at the handing over notes of the Ministry of Tourism, Creative Arts, and they propose that we develop Aquaba hotels across the country. How will you achieve that? Because that's a very important initiative. How will you achieve that project?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Aqua hotels are supposed to be luxury hotels to encourage domestic tourism. I think it's a very important concept and idea, and I would want to follow up and ensure that it's done. At least one in each region. Thank you.
Yes, Reverend. I'm grateful, Honorable Chair. Congratulations, Doc, on your nomination. On Panifest and Emancipation, Asin Manso plays host to the monumental Emancipation celebration since its inception in 1998. For 23 years and 23 consecutive times, Asin Manso has hosted Emancipation, which has attracted thousands of tourists from the diaspora. Unfortunately, the tourism potential of the Asin Manso Slave Monument has been woefully underdeveloped. There is no guest house, there is no rest stop, and the Slave River itself, which is even the thrust of attraction, is left at the mercy of the weather. Now, 23 years on, what assurance can you give to this committee of your commitment to develop an integrated Asin Manso Slave Monument and its ancillary tourism potentials in order to maximize the gains that this country can benefit from that sector?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Asin Manso project is a very important one. Indeed, the whole slave route from the north to Asin Manso and the exit point is very important for us. I want to assure this committee that when I'm giving the nod, we would make sure that we develop it into an iconic tourist site to attract visitation and to improve facilities and make sure that it's one of the best further facilities in this country. I can give it assurance, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are grateful for that assurance. Secondly, in March 2019, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, signed an MOU, 5 MOUs as a matter of fact, with Malta. Eminent among these MOUs was an MOU on tourism promotion to form a partnership and collaboration between these two countries to promote investment into the tourism industry. As we speak, that MOU has not been tabled to Parliament for ratification, even for the benefits intended to be actualized. If you have obtained briefing on these MOUs, can you assure the committee of what urgent steps you will take to bring this MOU and any other related beneficial MOU that is pending ratification so that Parliament can ratify and for the intended benefits to be operationalized?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I'm given the opportunity by this August committee, I want to assure the House that MOU and other MOUs and such arrangements will be looked into and make sure that we speed up and bring it to Parliament for ratification and for implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Arts has a campaign to promote See Ghana, Eat Ghana, Wear Ghana, Feel Ghana, just to promote Made in Ghana goods, to participate in Made in Ghana goods. Now we are promoting tourism, but whilst tourism flourishes in our country, you realize that we are rather promoting foreign culture with regards to what we eat. If you move from one hotel to another during lunchtime, you realize that all meals that have been served is a full rice from foreign countries as against our local rice. So if it is laudable to promote See Ghana, Eat Ghana, and so on and so forth, what are you going to do practically to ensure that Ghanaians develop taste, develop interest in what we produce locally so that we can patronage it to support tourism in our country?
Thank you, Chairman. In most of our hotels, as you said, it's a lot of foreign food. From our research, we've been told the big star hotels, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, that they are trying to develop a recipe menu. There's no recipe menu on Ghanaian dishes. So, when given the nod, we're going to help them. They've started something to develop a recipe menu so I can use that in the Ghanaian big hotels. And like I said, we need to do more engagement with the private sector and to do a lot of promotions to make sure that Ghanaians appreciate and eat our food, wear our clothes, feel Ghana, and then market Ghana. It's a collaboration between the public, between the ministry and the various stakeholders to let you appreciate. We don't only do it among adults, we also want to go down to the schools. We want to give in tourism, arts, and cultural education, together with the Ministry of Education, in the various schools. We want to send tourism, arts, education, and cultural education there. One of the things we want to do, Mr. Chairman, is to promote the reading of news in local languages. Most of our children, we speak to them in English. They can't speak their local languages. We think that if you want to institute a reading competition between the ages of 10 and 18 across the country, that they can start reading news and enacting plays in our local language as part of efforts. Because our culture is us, it's our language, it's what we eat and what we wear. So one step that we do, one giving a nod, is to encourage our young people, a regular annual intellectual competition for our people, our children between the ages of 10 to 18, to read news in a local language, for which we give them prizes and awards. And want to urge Parliament to support the needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, when the nominee is given the nod, his ministry will be responsible for maintaining tourist sites and discovering new ones to develop them. Recently, a waterfall was found in Bonzan, a community called Bonzan, in the Gaboso district. Developing it has become a problem because of lack of resources. What will you do to ensure that that waterfall that has been discovered in Bonzan will be developed to add up to the several waterfalls that we have in the country, to also rake in some revenue for the state?
Mr. Chairman, as we indicated, we need to maintain the old sites and to add on, or need to improve tourism visitation and tourism revenue in this country. So I want to assure you that we would look at all that, and also want to urge you that wherever you find such attractions, please draw attention, so that together we can develop those sites for tourist attractions and for investment. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Ablekuma West. Now I've got it right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations, Honourable Awal. I believe that having just been the Minister for Business Development, you see the business potential of our tourism sector even better than anyone else. And so, if given the nod, I have no doubt that you would transform that sector to be one of the highest revenue earners in this country. To be able to do that, we need to maximize the benefit that we get from our tourist sites. How are you going to work to preserve our tourist sites? I've been to Pagrant's house, which is over 100 years old, in Axim, and the trees growing through that house, almost next door to it is the first bank in West Africa. That is also a roof. But the locals know that they will tell you that this is what is there. We also have many mussels than anywhere else in Africa, I believe, and yet they are all in serious states of disrepair, and it's not even attractive to visit them and to even learn the history behind those tourist sites. What would you do? One, to preserve those tourist sites. Two, to step up the education and awareness creation about of those sites and their relevance to our history, all in an attempt to spare more interest in visiting and knowing about those sites.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. As indicated, when I'm given the nod by this Honourable House, we intend to increase tourism visitation from 1.1 million visitors, which has been the highest, to an average of 1.5 to 2 million visitation every year. We want tourism, arts and culture to be number one contributor to our GDP. The GT has already started working on tourist facilities. We have 29 museums and forts in this country, and with forts and castles, 29 forts and castles and 8 museums in this country. The GT has started a program to rehabilitate all those forts and castles, to bring them to speed. We're also trying to look at the tourist receptive facilities around all those places to make them attractive. When given the nod, Mr. Chairman, we will again look at them and package them properly Ghana has some of the best tourist facilities in the world. We need to package them, bring them up to speed, and then use the media, both local and international media, to sell those facilities. Already under the World Bank program, we've engaged CNN, and it's doing a lot of promotion for us. We also have to look at within Africa. Nigeria is an important destination in terms of tourist attractions. USA is number one, followed by Nigeria. So we want to be able to make sure that we package this media, not just on CNN, also that within African media and Ghanaian media, make them attractive to get the necessary tourists in this country. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, during the time of Honorable Jacob Echebilamte, peace, and Ferdinand Eyim, may his soul also rest in peace, they had a program around the World Tourism Day celebrations, a week-long program where they took journalists and marketed it to interested people to come along, and they would plan a whole itinerary. You visit various sites, accommodation, transportation, everything is a package deal, is paid for. It is through that program that my children learned to see every part of the country and follow the Salaga slave route, Tanobuaso rock caves, Kintampo waterfalls, Bobri butterfly sanctuary, and various other places. And very close to Accra is the Shai Hills Forest Reserve, which is a world away from the hustle and bustle of Accra. As you're thinking about promoting domestic tourism, I'd urge this program upon you to reactivate it and see how the ministry can take the lead, working with private tour operators to open up our country so that our children can learn about the very beautiful country that we have and our wonderful heritage as well. It's been done before. This was about 20 years ago, but it worked brilliantly. And I'm sure many of the journalists who were on those tours would still remember them brilliantly. I went feeding the monkeys in Wabing Fiema, and it's an experience I'll never forget. We have an extraordinarily beautiful country, but many of us don't even know about it. We travel for funerals. We don't take the time to see the world around us because we don't know what's available there. And so even publicizing those sites, one major way of stirring up interest in the sector. And so I'd urge you to look through the books of the ministry and reactivate this program, this excellent program as well. And there are very innovative tour operators around who can also package a similar thing. So would you give us the assurance that you look into reactivating this and other similar programs to showcase the beautiful country that we have?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to assure that we will activate it and more. We want to do a program around Ghana. GT is already doing something. We want to do around Ghana in 10 days. This involves encouraging Ghanaians, children, adults, corporate businesses, entities, to see Ghana within 10 days. We want to do that with the private sector, hotel owners, travel and tour agencies. We have 500 tour guides in this country. We want to retrain them so that they can master the arts of all the cultural sites and their history. Besides that, we're going to put up a lot of more tourist attractions around the country to encourage people. So have a road tour around Ghana in 10 days. And within those places too, it's not just about the physical things they see. Our music, our drama, our dancing, all are very important as a package. As I said again, we're going to have a successful tourism promotion without an effective cultural and artistic displays in this country. So for me, tourism, arts and culture are intertwined. They have to ride on each other. So I want to assure you that we go back to that and even increase it to make sure that Ghanaians know Ghana through tourism, arts and culture. And that can cement national unity, national cohesion, and redistribution of income again from urban to rural areas. Thank you.
Talking about, as a follow-up to the answer you just gave, talking about promoting arts and culture, as has been stated and somewhere asked earlier, we seem to be consuming more foreign culture than we do our own. Mainly because one, either as parents, we're not educating our children about our own uniqueness and what binds us together as Ghanaians. Makes us uniquely Ghanaian and makes us stand out from the rest of the continent and the world in which we live. What are you going to do to promote education about what makes us unique? Now, even our own arts and cultures are not, and sculptures, paintings are not appreciated by ourselves. It's foreigners who come here and enjoy it more than we do because we kind of take it for granted. And so even opening our eyes about what we have and what we take for granted, the furniture we use, the traditional furniture we used to have, which we also look down upon. When people are renovating their homes, they throw out hardwood furniture and go and buy chipboard furniture. And I keep asking myself, what's wrong with us? You know, it is something that we need to appreciate as individuals so that we can pass on that knowledge to our children and make it. If you go to Japan, it is part and parcel of their upbringing that they teach them kimono wearing, what makes their own food unique, and even the geishas, hairstyles, and all of that. It's a whole package. So what are we going to do to promote what makes us uniquely Ghanaian and pass on that love for what makes us uniquely Ghanaian to our children and to generations yet unborn? And that should be one of the main activities that you undertake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Ghana, one of the unique selling positions of Ghana is our rich cultural heritage, our music, our dance, our folklore. We will pay more attention to the development of this sector. Like I said earlier, we cannot have an effective tourism drive without strengthening our arts and cultural basis. As I indicated earlier, already we are securing 50 million cedis if given the nod to support players in the creative art industry. That will help them build their competencies. We're also going to ensure that we have the National Arts and Culture Festival, an annual Arts and Culture Festival from across the regions to Accra to make it a national event. There will be regional ones and national ones. Also, we're going to set up, as I said before, when given the opportunity by this August House, a national studio to develop a mini series, a $20 million national studio to develop mini series for the country. Because the content we have, as I said, is all foreign. When we develop it, we also want to work with this house, and I want to play this house that would soon come with, for you to help us, that prime time on television stations work along with the private media, and for the media house, 70% of content should be local, between 7 and 10 p.m. prime times, and then further. But the way to do that, we also have the local content. So the studios help develop the music, the films, and make Ghana attractive and the music and film hub of West Africa. When we do that, we're not going to guarantee jobs and more resources. We're going to build our culture and make sure that our children grow up with the culture that we inherited from our great-great-grandparents. I want to assure the House that with your support, this is what we intend to do. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the cost of hotel accommodation is one of the main factors which militate against the growth of the domestic tourist industry. In Ghana, hotel accommodation is very expensive. What would you do to work with the private sector to reduce the price so it's more affordable for people to be able to move out of their homes? Even during COVID, I'm sure many people feel cooped up. So if they were assured of a facility that will enable them to get some break and where all the protocols would be observed and it was affordable, they would go. I know there are hotels in this country that are fully booked. even during this season. So if we were to encourage more domestic tourism and make it more affordable, more people would take advantage of that. How are you going to work with the private sector to ensure that, despite the challenges of the pandemic, we can still open up our country sufficiently to enable more people take advantage of the little breaks that we need to make us all stay safe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have about 50,000 rooms in our hotels in this country. We need a minimum of 150,000 rooms. So the cost of the hotels is a demand and supply factor. But in terms of domestic tourism, as indicated, when given the nod by this August committee, what we intend to do is to engage with the private sector, with the hotels, that there's a captive market for you. We intend to get 1 million people, Ghanaians, going around Ghana every year in terms of domestic tourism. And for that to happen, we engage the private hotels to give us a cut in terms of pricing, so that can encourage Ghanaians to travel around the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Honorable nominee, in an earlier answer to a question posed, you made a firm commitment to protect the various heritage sites that we have and tourist sites that we have. Are you aware that the tourist site known as the Accra Falls in the eastern region, ahead of the 2020 election, was turned into a kind of training camp for the national security?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, as a follow-up, I am giving you that as an information. Would you be willing to investigate that? And would you be willing, when approved, to investigate that and take steps to recover that site for the tourism industry?
Please, not the hotel again. The hotel, the name, please.
The name is the Accra Falls, AKAA Falls. It's in the eastern region. Yes. And the question is, would you be willing to investigate that and possibly take steps to preserve that site for the industry?
Please, allow. Yes, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, kindly answer the question.
Mr. Chairman, we will take steps to ensure that hotels are functioning effectively.
Actually, he said a waterfall. Is it the property Ministry of Tourism? Are you aware?
Mr. Chair, I'm not aware. I would find out, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so I think my intention is to draw your attention so that when confirmed, you can take steps to recover that site for the ministry. Now, the second question is that about some 600 million Ghana cedis was shared as a COVID aid, and I'm aware that about 300,000 small businesses received these grants. Are you aware how many of these businesses work in tourism, and whether you know the criteria by which they got that grant?
The Chairman, I'm aware some operators in the tourism sector got. How many of them? I don't know.
So what step would you take to ensure that the World Bank grant for ecotourism is fairly distributed among all industry players?
Sorry, question again.
I'm saying that there is a World Bank grant for ecotourism. I'm asking what steps would you take to ensure fair distribution of this grant for all players in the industry?
So Chairman, we ensure that the right thing is done equitably. Thank you.
My very final question has to do with Ghana's ranking by the World Travel and Tourism, by the World Economic Forum. Now, according to the World Economic Forum, Ghana ranked 115th in the 2019 World Travel and Tourism Competitiveness Annual Rankings. And Ghana is 15th in Africa, says the report. And as we speak now, countries like Zambia, Namibia, and Zimbabwe have all passed Ghana in this ranking. What would you do to improve Ghana's ranking in this in tourism in the international space?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As indicated, tourism is a function of arts and culture. We have a comprehensive plan to improve on our arts and culture, our tourism facilities, so we can improve both domestic and international tourism. So I want to assure the House that when given the opportunity, we'll have a package that will enable 1 million Ghanaians do domestic tourism. We'll make sure that tourist sites around the country are improved, new ones even discovered. We also ensure that at least, as indicated, 1.5 million people visit this country every year. That will certainly improve our tourist visitation and our tourist ranking. Thank you.
Yeah, so in connection, it's a quick follow-up. In connection with building of the structures, upon your nomination, I think there was this perception out there, and that was shared by some people in the entertainment industry. For example, Ola Michael said that Awa's appointment as tourism minister is disappointing because he doesn't have the capacity to build the structures. What would you say to this allegation out there, or this perception out there?
Sorry, I'm done, sir. Somebody's view of you is not
But it's out there. So
if you have your own view, ask him.
Right.
Anyone here? Yes, Eric.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, one of the tourist potentials we have in our country is the rich forest. I know the big tree, the biggest tree in Ghana, happens to be the biggest tree in West Africa. Do you know the location of this tree and how developed is that area for tourist purposes?
Honorable Minister, do you know where it is?
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, I asked this very important question because the biggest tree in Ghana here happens to be the biggest in the whole West Africa, and it's located in the Akim Odan forest. A lot of people have been going there for tourism. That is why the tourist minister must know and develop the area so that Ghana can listen.
Can you ask your next question?
Who nominee? It's good you have been very fair, you have been candid to the committee. You don't know. It is located in Akumoda. So it is an area that you have to look at to see what can be done to develop the area for tourism. Now my second question has to do with the 96,000 jobs you claim you have created within the last 4 years. We said you have created 96,000 jobs. Can you share with the committee the specifics in terms of the jobs that you have created? Because reading from the 2019 budget, specifically paragraph 701, you trained some entrepreneurs and provided them with some support. And you stated that it is expected that each of these entrepreneurs will create a minimum of 2 jobs. So after training them and provided them with some funds, you thought that they were going to create 2 jobs. Probably the obligation of that
gave you the 96,000 jobs we are talking about. That is why I'm asking of the specifics.
Chairman, we trained 45,000 under the Presidential Business Support Program. We trained 45,000 young entrepreneurs and funded over 9,000 of them with sums ranging between 5,000 and 100,000 cedis each. So, Chairman, we're expecting, one of the discussions we had with them was that minimum of two jobs, minimum. The Chairman, as we said now, many of them have created even 20 jobs. As at before the pandemic, most of them had even created 20 jobs per person. It's not just about the funding, it's also about the capacity we build them. You see, when we meet young entrepreneurs, what we do is to find out their most important business model. And some of them, it's not about money. It's about capacity building in finance. It's about building their capacity in different things such as finance, such as marketing, such as branding, such as insurance. So the training we give them expands their horizon and gives the ability to employ people. So while some have created 2 jobs, others have created more than 10 jobs. And then if you train 45,000 people and then funded some of them, if even 45,000 should employ even 2 people, 4,000 people who have done for the training, we're talking about 90,000 jobs already. And after that, we've funded 9,000 plus. So it's not a minimum, it's a minimum of 2 jobs, and not an average, not a maximum of 2 jobs. So it's been created. And we have names of businesses that are there to see. We have their names and their locations that can see that they've created jobs, including persons with disability. There's a woman with disability doing fish, one doing cocoa and kose. When we gave her the money, the cocoa and kose in Accra here, she's employing 11 people. The one doing fish and tema, she's erected she's got up a fish cold store, and she's got about 13 people. So it's a minimum of 2 jobs and not a maximum of that. Thank you.
You are counting the number of jobs you have created. You talk about those employed at the cold stores that you have supported. These people have also been counted. They have been counted as part of the jobs created in the fisheries industry. Are we not double counting these numbers? Because you know that in the fisheries industry, they also look at the number of people that they have engaged in the whole process, from harvesting to consumption. That is what they do. And in fact, when you look at the figures, they indicate to us that right from harvesting of fish to consumption, they employ about 2.6 million people in this country. Now that includes those who deal with the cold stores, but you have also counted them. That will eventually give us a very huge number because of this double counting that I'm talking about. Is that not correct?
We're not dealing with only fishing sector. We have agribusiness, we have media, we have trade and commerce, etc. So it's not just the fishing sector. We have more than 10 subsectors, Mr. Chairman. So our figures are correct, Mr. Chairman.
And you said Kose, those who sell Kose to you have given them jobs. Is that what you said? No, he said that. He said orange and Kose. He mentioned it.
He said they supported a disabled woman who was making cocoa, and that woman has employed 11 more. Yes, Honorable Patricia, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations, Honorable Vice Frank. We've been having a very broad discussion about how to improve on the tourism sector. Can you hear me? We've been having a very broad discussion on how to improve on the tourism sector. But what I want specifically from you is that in your view, what are the major selling points for Ghana tourism sector in the next 4 years so that you may occupy the seat as a minister for that sector? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ghana has so many attractive elements that can make it one of the best tourism destinations in the world. Mr. Chairman, Ghana is our center of the world. It's the only unique center of the world that the world has. Our festivals are very rich. Our culture, our dances, our music. And Ghana is very stable in terms of political stability in West Africa. So we are politically stable. We have rich culture in terms of music, art, dance, sculpture. And then we also have a lot of forts and castles. As I said, 28 forts and castles in this country, more than many other places around the world, and 8 museums. So these are unique selling points as a tourist destination. Thank you.
A follow-up, please. I agree with you. We have all these physical edifices. But one of the things that we shouldn't lose sight of is our sanitation, our water supply, our road networks. What I want to ask is that how are you going to collaborate? You know, it's all inclusive, it's a multi-sectoral nature. There is the need to have a very good collaboration with all the other sectors that can assist to enhance most of these selling points that we have. How are you? Do you have a deliberate strategy to look at that issue?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, tourism, arts and culture is multi-sectorial. Today, we want to even digitize most of our tourist sites, so that we need to collaborate with Ministry of Communications. Those tourist sites have to be improved with Ministry of Transport, Roads and Highways. Attorney General's Office, we need to do that. Ministry of Finance, even Foreign Affairs. When we intend to send our drummers and creative artists outside to perform, we need our collaboration. So we intend to build an effective intersectoral collaboration, ministerial collaboration, to enhance our tourist, to enhance Ghana's tourist destination and improve upon our tourist sites. Thank you.
Thank you. My last question is, how do you plan to enhance tourism promotion at our airports? You agree with me that the first experience of every traveler is at the airport. And like most other countries, they try to exhibit the cultures and the kind of activities or centers to take people through what to expect within there. I don't think we have it in our airport. So how do you plan to do that? Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The airports are very important entry points into this country. The Chairman, when giving the nod, we also plan to do a lot of promotion and signages at the airport. And the hotels, Mr. Chairman, since we want to make Ghana a tourist attractive destination, all our inscriptions, our signages at the airports, airports and the hotels are in English. We intend to also add at least French to the signages at various airports and entry points, and build a lot more tourist information centers around the country to give visitors a lot of tourist information. So most hotels owners work with the private sector to ensure that their signages and inscriptions in their hotels are also French and English to attract more tourists from the West African Francophone areas. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I should go on to this one. The movie industry is not only popular, but prosperous. All over the world, you find people in there, especially in America and other advanced countries, you find them to be very rich people. But the Ghanaian situation is the opposite. When given the law, what would you do differently to make the industry think, to get more people interested in our movie industry? Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I indicated earlier that if given the opportunity by this Honorable House, we intend to set up a studio, a modern movie and music studio to make Ghana the hub of movie and creative arts in West Africa. We've gone very far with about $20 million facility to make it. The movie will help us to create mini-series and create local content, Ghanaian movies, so that can also help enrich our culture and make our children in the generations to come interesting. Like I said, when tourists come to this country, an exit interview showed that they spend only 15% of their money on entertainment because they don't have enough of local content. So we think that they can spend up to 30-40% of their resources on living. So we intend to set up a studio, film studio, to make Ghana an attractive hub for films in the South region that can help produce local movies and enrich our culture and our heritage. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Honorable Nominee. I have two questions. The first one is to do with your previous portfolio. You are moving from the Business Development Ministry to a new portfolio, and I want you to share with this House. You would agree with me that the SMEs form the bulk of the businesses around here and actually help to grow the economy. I want you to tell this as how you leverage your experience from the Business Development Ministry to help grow the SMEs in the art and culture industry within the tourism ministry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. SMEs are 80% of businesses in this country. Ghana has about 2.3 million SMEs, and the tourism, arts, and culture sector has a lot of them. As Minister of Business Development, we have to build an ecosystem that encourages young people to build businesses for themselves. Mr. Chairman, Ghana, 250,000 people out of our tertiary institutions every year. Very few of them are able to get jobs. So we have to build an ecosystem that encourages young people to own their own jobs and to be job creators. When given the nod, Mr. Chairman, we intend to duplicate this at the tourism sector, where we can train young people and also give them resources to stand on their own. And women are very important. 56% of tourist players are women. I just observed we have a special package for women, growing women to own business and to survive. Most of them are just nursery entrepreneurs. We need to take them from being nursery entrepreneurs to opportunity entrepreneurs so that they can expand and employ more people. So the experience is that both an ecosystem that enables young people, especially women and youth, to be able to build their own businesses and employ people and then make the tourist sector tick. That's our intent to leverage.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My second question is to do with the tourism sites directly. There is a beautiful confluence of the Volta Lake around Akamade Nkwanta in the Salaga South constituency. Having used that river on many of my tours, I get the impression that it has a lot of tourism potential, and so it's being underutilized. Of course, it will come with providing infrastructure, hotels, and I don't know if it will be of interest to you to pay attention to the Volta Lake and see how we can leverage its advantages to increase the tourism potential of this country. Tied to that is, of course, the slave markets, the slave dams in Salaga itself. And Madam Honorable Patricia made the point about infrastructure. These tourism sites don't exist in isolation. You know, if you want to, for example, promote the Salaga trade market, it's going to be a Herculean task for you because the road to Salaga is not good. You get to Salaga, electricity fluctuations is a problem. So getting a good hotel where people can stay becomes a challenge. So how will you collaborate with all these other ministries that will help facilitate the promotion of some of these beautiful tourism sites that have been left to deteriorate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As said earlier, tourism, arts and culture is an integrated sector. It's interministerial, and we need interministerial collaboration. It's a very important point, and when given a nod, I would work with you. Here's how we can develop the place. But we need all the sectors in the country: roads, energy, finance, attorney general, environment, lands and natural resources. So I can assure you that I'm going to work collaboratively with my colleagues, if given the nod, to improve not only the old existing tourist sites, but even to look for new ones and improve upon them for tourist attractions in this country. Thank you.
Yes, John. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I wish to congratulate my boss and to thank His Excellency the President for giving him this special role at the Ministry of Tourism, because he's been appointed at a time that that ministry needs creativity and innovation to become very competitive. When he was even the Minister for Business Development, he was doing more than tourism and selling Ghana. I remember one of our trips to Germany when we met the Westphalian Parliament in Cologne. You gave each of the Committee on Foreign Affairs members, you gave each one of them a special kente from Ghana. When we got to the Bundestag Parliament in Berlin, you gave the Special Committee on Foreign Affairs a special kente from Ghana. And I believe that you are going to promote Ghana kente, especially the Bonyere kente, and make it a special heritage in our dealings with other parts of the world. I just want to thank my boss for his mentorship. I don't have any question. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Nominee, you're welcome. Let me take you home. I'm happy you have spoken eloquently about domestic tourism, something I also agree with earlier questioners that we must pay attention to, because it enables many to know our country well. And so when they have opportunities to take decisions, they take those decisions based on their correct understanding of our country, because we tend to have a lot of people, in my view, in decision making across the country who don't know beyond the three major cities, Accra, Kumasi, and Takoradi. So I think that is something you must pay attention to. But you and I come from Northern region, so we know that when they talk of the Mole Park, it is now in Savannah. When they talk of the Salga Slave, it's now in Savannah too. Even that's what I'm saying. We know. Some people think it's not. We know it's not, because there's a difference. When they talk of the Paga Pond, it is in the Upper East region. Some people don't know that. It is not to everybody. In fact, this morning I got a message from somebody who was drawing my attention to a woman who is suffering in Upper East, and he wants me to, lead the charge. And it's all based on that misunderstanding of our country and the locations. So, for me, the Mole Dagong have had a long history, Moshis and Dagombes especially. In my constituency in Kambli, almost every Moshi across the world, and Kambli is just opposite your family house too. Almost every Moshi around the world knows about Kambli. Recently, making rounds in the community, I was told of where the popular Moshi man was buried, which has led to that tradition or belief that Moshis cannot sleep over in Kambli. Unfortunately, it had been destroyed. They can't sleep in Kambli. They cannot sleep in Kambli.
They can't pass the night there. Yes, that's a traditional belief. The popular bushman who was buried there, where that notion started, they showed me the place. Unfortunately, the grave. Unfortunately, it has been sealed, and someone has put the house on it now, and all of that. So, I want you to assure this committee that when you become a minister, you will hunt in the northern region some of this underdeveloped, in the northern region, some of these underdeveloped sites in the northern region that will promote tourism, which will eventually lead to eradication, if not reduction, of rural poverty. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to assure the honourable member that I'll have to work with honourable members here, not only to preserve tourist sites and locations, but to unearth new ones across the country, particularly in the northern region. Thank you. I want to assure you that.
Now, professionals in the creative arts industry have also been asking for an enhanced arts center. Growing up, I recall the activities we used to undertake at the existing cultural center, which is now almost a death trap. No activity really takes place there now. In the Northern Region Cultural Center, thank you, Arts Center, Tamale. We used to have events only at the Picona Gardens. It was one of the popular event centers. Today, most events are organized at the stadium, the Kaladan, no, not the Kaladan, the Ali Muhammad Stadium. That is where most events are hosted. Now, professionals in the creative arts industry have been calling for an enhanced arts center or a special sitting theater in the north. What will be your efforts in that direction to provide one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There have been efforts to rehabilitate or provide Center for Job Cultures across the country. That of Kofrodia, I'm told, has been completed. Kumasi is ongoing. When given the opportunity by this August committee, we will finish the one in Tamale. We'll renovate it. I know they all played there when we were kids. It's an important location that we can use to promote our arts and culture in the northern region. Tamale and Takrady are on the drawing board, which we will be able to finish in the shortest possible period, and improve upon other such facilities around the country to promote our indigenous culture. Thank you. I want to assure that it's something I'll take up seriously.
This may also be an assurance because you haven't been there. There's this company known as Pro Race Company. I don't know if it is Recce or Race, but it is spelled P-R-O-R-E-C-E. Pro Race Company Limited. It was paid an amount of 1.2 million Ghana cedis to construct a number of toilet facilities in Greater Accra, Bessie, and Elmina, and then also 2 units, 3 units, and another 3 units at Cape Coast, Lower Axim, Upper Axim, respectively. And the completion dates for this project were supposed to be March 2019. As we speak, the report is that no work has been done, but they have been paid fully to do this, and this is under the ministry. What will you do about the need for these projects to be completed once you get the nod?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure we should have a file at the ministry. I'll look into it and make sure that the right thing is done, but also be grateful if I found the details from you so I can pick it up when I'm given the nod by this committee. Thank you.
I thank you.
Yes,
Most grateful, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to raise the matter of an opportunity that we don't seem to be exploring aggressively these days. Following, and this, came to mind following the announcement last week by the iconic musician Stevie Wonder that he intends to relocate to Ghana because he believes that as an African, he will be valued, he will be more respected, and he will feel more at home. And he doesn't want his children and grandchildren growing up in the United States, which is still grappling with institutional racism. In our Immigration Act, the Immigration Act of 2000, Act 573, I don't know if the Honorable Nominee has averted his mind to that act. Under Section 17(1)(b), the law provides that the minister, in consultation with the president, can grant citizenship to a person of African descent in the diaspora. And this has been in our Immigration Act since the 1960s. President Nkrumah used it quite skillfully. He attracted W.E.B. Du Bois, Julian Bond, Marcus Garvey. They all relocated. Those were the days that Ghana was referred to as Black Mecca. And you saw a lot of, African greats like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, all of them journeying to Ghana, a pilgrimage of a sort.